Good day and welcome, my friends, to the Hebraic Living Walking with Messiah broadcast. We're excited to have you here with us today as we explore the rich traditions and teachings of Hebraic living, guiding you on a journey to walk in alignment with your Messiah. Now, whether you're seeking spiritual growth, practical insights, or a deeper connection with your faith, this show is here to inspire and uplift you. Now, in last week's episode, entitled The 10 Commandments Revisited, we explored the history of the 10 Commandments, tied it into Hanukkah, and how we can use them as a springboard of rededication to God starting today. Now, in today's episode entitled The 7 Laws of Success, Part 1, we will discuss how we can best prepare for the new secular year that's coming up, using the transition of Hanukkah that we just observed and becoming a light to the world, our families, and becoming wise financial stewards of the resources God has entrusted us with. Now, remember, my friends, to plug in every Tuesday at the same time to see the show live, and you can also view it on demand on the lambnetwork.tv website. Each show is also recorded on the Daily Torah YouTube channel. Now, welcome to all of our new listeners. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a single episode. And remember to share these messages with your social media friends and family. Now, if you have your Bible or notepads handy, get them ready. And let's begin, because we have a lot to discuss today. So today's topic is the 7 laws of success. And this is going to be a 2-part series because there's so much to cover and I don't want to rush through things. So I broke it out into 2 parts and, take pictures, take screenshots, write down the scriptures I'm going to share with you today. I think you're going to be surprised at what I'm going to go through today. So I hope it's edifying and a blessing to each of you. Now, look at this picture here. I just, had this on here as a title slide, but we want to become wise stewards, right? But look at this. Can you imagine what it's going to be like living and functioning in the kingdom of God? How glorious it's going to be. What are we going to be doing with our lives in the kingdom of God? What is God preparing you for today to serve him in the kingdom of God of tomorrow? What are you going to be doing each and every day for all eternity? Each of us have gifts and talents that God is utilizing to prepare us and to bring us into our total realization of our human potential. And so we should, each of us, be looking forward to serving God. And how are we going to serve him? Preparing ourselves to serve him with joy and with gladness. So I want to ask you, why are so few successful in life today? And just what is success, my friends? Is there a formula for success? My friends, no human need ever become a failure. Each of us are born into this world, and none of us, have any way to stop that. We're all born into this world, and some of us are born in the poor family, some of us rich, some middle class, and we have all kinds of life circumstances that mold and shape us. But none of us, no matter what your circumstance is, you are an individual in God's eyes, created in his image, and none of us should ever become a failure if we are walking with God. The only way to success, my friends, is not a copyrighted formula being sold for a price. You can't buy success. The price is your application to these 7 laws that have existed since the creation of humankind. My friend, are you having financial problems right now? Are you having trouble making ends meet? Are you having health issues keeping you from being productive? Do you just feel like there's no escape from the pressures of life and that you are stuck in your current situation? Sadly, the vast majority of people are living failed lives. Even us, Messianic believers, right? We're supposed to be on top of the world, the elect called by God. But I'm telling you right now, there are so many of us in this walk of life, in this Hebraic walk, that are failures right now, living failed lives, broken marriages, broken hopes and dreams. And it need not be, my friends. And we're going to go through what the 7 laws of success are so that you can hit this next year running on a high note. And even though it's a secular year, but we all live in this society today. And so we're going to make going forward a great success. And it's not going to be one of those, like New Year's resolutions where you say you're going to do this, that, and then a couple of weeks later you fall off the wagon. No. These principles that I'm going to share with you today and next week are going to catapult you into a new successful life walking with Messiah. Right? That's why we called this show Walking with Messiah. Our lives center around much, much more than just biblical study all the time. Our lives focus around so much, but everything focuses on Yeshua. Everything points to Yeshua, the Messiah. And without him, we will fail. But with him, we can be successful, and we will be if we follow him in the right way. Look at these stats. Thousands of people, my friends, commit suicide in the world every day. Why? We'd be the most happiest people on earth, especially in the United States, right? We have everything that we could ever ask for. If you apply yourself, why is there so many people committing suicide? Do you know suicide now outnumbers murders? Do you know 95% of all businesses fail? These are troubling statistics. Why? Because they do not apply the 7 laws of success. Millions of people throughout the earth live in unhappy circumstances. I would say billions of people throughout the earth live in unhappy circumstances from which only death promises release. And maybe you've thought about that. Maybe your life is so messed up right now that you think the only way out is to go to sleep forever and put an end to it all. You're just tired of it. Well, that's Satan's plan, right? Satan wants to kill as many of us as he can, but we're not going to allow him to do that. We are not going to allow the evil one to cause us to live unfulfilling, unpurposeful lives. We are going to rise above it. Look at this other stat. By age 60 to 65, many of us, I'm in that category. Many of us are dependent on our children instead of the other way around, right? We're supposed to be leaving an inheritance to our children, not going back and moving in. Isn't it funny? Our kids, when they're in college, they sometimes come and move in with their parents. And then when we get old and we're on Social Security and we don't have anything to show for ourselves because we wasted our lives, we end up moving in with our children. Isn't it ironic that it flips the other way around? They end up raising us and taking care of us until we die. It ought not be that way. Success, my friends, does not just happen. It is governed by 7 definite laws. And if you know them and apply them, the happy result in the end is assured, right? It's like gravity. If you apply these laws like gravity, you will be successful. The tragedy is that through the centuries and millenniums, we have turned our backs on these laws which give us the very success that each of us crave. Now, if your goal in life is material acquisition or recognition of status by society, right? You want to live in high society, or the passing enjoyment of the five senses. You just want to eat and drink and smell the roses and just pleasure yourself in all your senses and not care about anything else, just caring about yourself. Well, if that's your attitude and if that's your goal in life, then I'm sorry to say you will never achieve or find success in your life. And maybe that's why you haven't so far. Let's think about it. Meditate on that for a little while. Where are you in your life? What are your life goals? Who are you serving? Yourself or the creator of heaven and earth? You know, in 1 Kings chapter 10, verses 23 to 25, King Solomon, he surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. Now all the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Remember, he prayed and he asked for wisdom and understanding, and God gave him all that. But on top of that, God gave him riches and long life and the defeat of all his enemies. And it says, continuing in 1 Kings, each man brought his present, articles of silver and gold, garments, armor, spices, horses and mules at a set rate year by year. People, my friends, people from all over the world came to see Solomon and brought him gifts and tribute, right? He had a lot of these surrounding territories under tribute, and they would pay tribute in gold and silver and other material things year by year so that they could live in peace. Wouldn't that be great? If our lives were like that, if we just sat at our home, I just sat in this beautiful white chair in my house here, and people would come around my neighborhood and just drop off articles of silver and gold and garments and spices and throw a horse and a mule in there once in a while and just drop them off on my front yard. Wouldn't that be exciting? I wouldn't have to do anything. I wouldn't have to do this podcast. Right? I could just live off this silver and gold and all these beautiful garments. I'd have armor and guns and ammo and all these things taken care of, right? Well, unfortunately, none of us live like that. Right? Even the presidents and the kings of the different countries. No, King Solomon, though, was granted favor because he served the Most High, the King Most High, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But what happened with Solomon? Well, in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, he writes all this, right? Go and read the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. Go through the life of Solomon. And he kind of can, I think, he can relate to many of us today, right? He says, in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore, enjoy pleasure. I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their lives. Right? He was contemplating all the pleasures of life and how to enjoy them, but still have purpose in his life. So he says, I made my works great, right? He was busy. He was a workaholic. Many of us are workaholics, right? And he built himself houses and he planted himself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards. I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I even acquired male and female servants, right? He had an employer. He had a business so he could employ people, right? And he had servants born in his house. They lived with him. He had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers, man, right? He had rock bands and different people come and play. Maybe Bono came and played at the temple. He had the delights of the sons of men and musical instruments of all kinds, right? He was enjoying life. Solomon had everything a man could ever want, right? But what happened? Well, he says, I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me, right? So not only did he have all these riches and wealth, but he maintained his wisdom. But he said, whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. This was like a psychological experiment with Solomon. He wanted to see if he had all the pleasures on earth, could he keep his wisdom and understanding? Would he fall from God? Right? This is the test of every man and woman. If you have riches and fame and honor, will you forget God who gave it to you? And we're warned about that many times in the scriptures. But he continues, he says, I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure. Whatever he wanted, whatever he thought to do, he did it. He had the riches, the money, the fame. He could do whatever he wanted to do, and he did. But then he says in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 11, then I looked on all the works that my hands had done and on all the labor which I had toiled. And indeed, all was vanity and grasping for the wind. Have you ever tried to grasp for the wind? You can't catch it. There was no profit under the sun. My friends, how many times have we heard of Hollywood stars, sports stars, business people, CEOs that make billions of dollars, and they're miserable? They got everything they want. They got these multi-million-dollar mansions and cars. They got women or guys, and they're in this marriage and that marriage, hopping around. They got yachts, and they can travel anywhere they want. They got anything their hearts desire. But it's all grasping for the wind, right? Most of them are miserable because they don't have a relationship with God. They have no real purpose. It's all materialism. It's all for themselves. It's not to give glory to the one who gave them those riches and honor and fame. And sometimes the evil one gives them that to keep them away from God, right? He'll give you everything that your heart's desire. Many times, if you just forget God. Why is there so many atheists in the world today? All the rich people, most of them are atheists, right? Or communists. They don't know God. They make God to themselves. They are their own God that they worship. So Solomon continues in verses 15 and 16 of Ecclesiastes 2. He says, so I said in my heart, as it happens to the fool, it also happens to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this also is vanity. For there is no remembrance of the wise than of the fool forever. Since all that now is will be forgotten in the days to come. And how does a wise man die? As the fool, the same way. So whether you're wise or a fool, you're going to die. And everything that you have is going to be to somebody else. And no one's really going to remember you unless you have done many great things. I mean, we all remember Solomon, right? Because it's written in the book. And there's some people that are legends, but most of us who are rich or famous or just mediocre, yeah, no one remembers us when we pass away. So then he continues in verses 17 to 20. He says, and maybe you've gotten to this point. Therefore, I hated life because the work that was done under the sun was distressing to me. Right? Maybe you're in a job and you're working and you might be successful. Is that all there is to it? Is that all there is to life? It's just work, 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 and make money and buy this, buy that. And he says, for all is vanity and grasping for the wind. Then I hated all my labor in which I had toiled under the sun. See, a complete flip, right? Why? Because I must leave it to the man who will come after me. So you work hard all your life, you acquire this, this, and that. You get old, you get frail, you die, and who gets all your possessions? Your sons and daughters. Sometimes maybe they fight over it. Maybe it goes to someone else. Maybe you donate it to charity. You don't know who's going to do what with the riches. They're not going to make the same decisions that you made. They're not going to strive after it. They're not going to work for it. They're just going to take and squander it and spend it on their own pleasures. It takes a very unique person to take something that their father or mother has built up and continue it, and to be successful as they were, and to continue the legacy and not squandering on themselves. And then he continues, he goes, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool, right? We don't know. That's what I mean. He's going to squander it. Yet he will rule over all my labor in which I toiled and in which I have shown myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I turned my heart and I despaired all of the labor in which I had toiled under the sun. You know, as I was just reading that, I'm thinking, you know, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and there's the oldest brewery in Pennsylvania called Yuengling. And maybe some of you like Yuengling beer. It's one of my favorites because the water from Yuengling beer comes right out of the Appalachian Mountains. So it's crisp and clean. And they've been around. They're the oldest brewery in America. And they're not public. And they're family owned. And it's gone through, I think, 5 generations now that the sons and the sons and the sons have all kept, and the daughters, I believe, are working the business now too. That's all a family. And they continue to work that company and business, and they all work together, and they continue the Yuengling name. That was their last name, Mr. Yuengling. And they continue that name. That is a unique example of generational wealth that has continued for many generations, and they maintain and uphold the legacy of their great, great, great grandfather. Now, Solomon continues in verses 24 and 26 of Ecclesiastes 2. He says, nothing is better for a man than he should eat and drink, and that his soul should enjoy good in his labor. My friends, that's where we should be. This is the conclusion of all his testing, his going out and having pleasures and enjoying life and testing this and testing that. He came to the conclusion that nothing is better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and his soul should enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw was from the hand of God. For who can eat or who can have enjoyment more than I, says Solomon. For God gives wisdom and knowledge and joy to a man who is good in his sight, in God's sight. But to the sinner, he gives the work of gathering and collecting, that he may give to him who is good before God. So, my friends, are you a gatherer and a collector? Or are you one who gathers and collects from others? Which one are you? How are you doing today? Are you a man that enjoys the fruit of his labor, or a woman? Are you giving back? Are you enjoying life? Or are you constantly striving and a slave to somebody else? Which are you? In 1 Kings chapter 11, it reads, "But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh." So here we go. Here we begin the downfall of Solomon, right? And all his wisdom that he had, this was a challenge for him because he had to keep all these alliances with all the nations around him. He ended up marrying all these women, the Moabite women, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the Sidonians, the Hittites, from all the nations of whom the Lord said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you." Why? Because surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods. But yet Solomon clung to these in love. And this was his downfall. This is why the wisest man in the world became a fool in many respects. For it was so, continuing in verses 4-6, "For it was so when Solomon was old that his wives turned his heart after other gods. And his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and did not fully follow the Lord as did his father David." Right? He went after other gods. Hey, if you haven't listened to my friend Mike Robillard and my podcast on Monday nights, the 613 Lifestyle, we went over this last night about not having any other gods before the true God. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. It ties in with today's message here. So we have a good time doing that show on the Lamb Network. But continuing in 1 Kings chapter 11, verses 7 and 8, what happened? Well, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab. This is who people sacrifice children to, the god of Moab, on the hill that is east of Jerusalem, and for Moloch, the abomination of the people of Ammon. Also, they do child sacrificing to Molech. And he did likewise for all his foreign wives who burned incense and sacrifice to their gods. Instead of his wives coming to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the creator of heaven and earth, Solomon, supposedly the wisest man in the world, had his heart turned to pagan gods. How many of us have done the same? We have the Torah, we have the instruction books, and maybe we're dabbling in keeping Christmas or Easter, sacrificing in a sense to these other gods, putting up a Nimrod tree, putting presents under it. It's no more than what Solomon has done here for serving pagan gods, right? They're nothing in the scriptures that God told us to do that. But yet many of us want to be like the people around us, right? And we end up being lured into that and tempted. And we end up succumbing to it. And then we lose the blessings that God gave to us, as we're going to see here. So in verses 9-11 in 1 Kings, so the Lord became angry with Solomon, because his heart had turned from the Lord God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice. Has God ever appeared to you even once? God appeared to Solomon twice, and commanded him concerning this thing that he should not go after other gods, but he did not keep what the Lord had commanded. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, because you have done this and have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. And he did. He tore it away, 10 tribes, and gave it to his servant Jeroboam. And that became the northern tribe of Israel, the kingdom of Israel. And the southern tribe he gave to his son, Rehoboam. So, my friends, I bring this all up because the first law of success is we have to have the right goal. Now, very important. We're going to go through this. It may not be what you think it is. We have to have the right goal. So what do I mean by that? Well, besides having the right goal as believers, the general principles of character as honesty, patience, loyalty, courtesy, dependability, punctuality, and righteousness are automatically included in these 7 rules. So if we have the Spirit of God dwelling within us, we should already have these attributes of character, these principles of character. Do you have these? Are you honest in your dealings? Do you have patience? Are you loyal? Maybe to your boss if you're working for someone else, or to your spouse, or to even yourself. Are you loyal to God? Are you courteous? Do you have courtesy? Are you arrogant and flippant and look down upon other people and demand other things from other people? You're impatient and you're rude. Are you dependable? Can someone depend on you with a handshake? If you say you're going to be somewhere or do something for someone else, can they rely on you to do it? And are you punctual? If you say you're going to be someplace at a certain time, are you there? Or do you give excuse of why you're late? Or you just don't really care about it and you just basically show up whenever you want to show up? Do you value other people's time is what that means? Or are you just thinking about yourself? And righteousness is self-evident that if you are keeping the commandments of God, you should have all these attributes and you should be righteous in the eyes of God. So you have to have these before you can even begin to have the right goal. So where do you stand in this right now, my friends? Do some self reflection there and think about it, meditate on it. Because as we have seen, having the wrong goal of material and physical pleasures lead only to fears, worries, heartaches, troubled conscience, sorrows, frustrations, empty lives, and eventually death. So when we have the wrong goal and we just want to have pleasures of ourselves, we have miserable lives. And this is where it ends up. So my friends, having the right goal forces us to define success. And once we have learned what success really is, we make that our goal in life. So the question becomes, my friend, what is your purpose in life? And why were you born? Do you even know why you were born? Why are you here right now? Again, none of us can choose whether we are born or not. We're here. So while we're here, we might as well have a purpose and fulfill what God has called us to be, because we are created in His image. My friends, We all wish to live a meaningful life. I don't think anyone here who's listening or anyone that we know wakes up in the morning and says, well, I just want to live a miserable life today, right? You ever remember those old Monster employment, Monster.com commercials? They were during the Super Bowl when people would like be filing all day. All I want to do is file papers all day, each and every day, right? That was what their purpose of life was. None of us choose where we are sometimes. It's all circumstances. But we can take control of that. We can take control of the circumstances and change the course and destiny of our lives. So then the other question is, why are we living? What are we living for? What are we doing in this world? Do you even know? Have you ever thought about it? Or you just wake up in the morning and just do your thing and you'll figure it out later. You just don't really take the time to pray about it or ask God to direct your paths. My friends, to find the answer to these central questions, we must look in the very book of life itself, the Torah, which is called the Torah Chaim, a living Torah. And many of us know this already, right? We know that the word Torah means instruction or guidance. For the Torah is our guide in life. We don't look at it as a book of laws and do's and don'ts. It is our instruction book. It is our guide in life so that we will be successful. The Torah makes us constantly aware of our duties in life. It gives us a true definition of our purpose. And it shows us the ways and means of attaining this goal. Do you understand that, my friends? The Torah is the life giver. If we follow it, we will be successful. The Torah begins with Genesis. When Adam was created, the Creator immediately apprised him of his powers and told him that his purpose in life would be to what? What did he give Adam to do? In Genesis 1:28, he says, replenish the earth and conquer it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. He didn't say go destroy the earth and go rape it and pillage it so that you can amass great fortunes of wealth and gold and silver. No, that's not what he's saying at all. My friends, man was given the power to conquer the world. Now, you got to understand what this word conquer means, and we're going to go through that. But man was given the power to conquer the world, the whole world, and to rule over it. God gave us that authority on the land, the sea, and in the air. And he was enjoined to do so. This was Adam's task, and it's our task. It's what we were created for. But it's how we do it, whether we do it in the right way or the wrong way. The evil one wants us to do it in the wrong way. That's why there's so much chaos in the world today. But when we are faithful stewards of the earth and its resources, as God has given us and enshrined us with to do, and tasked us with to do, we will be very successful in what he has given us to do. So how is this world conquest to be attained? And what is the purpose and true meaning of it? Well, the world conquest given to man as his task and mission in life was to elevate and refine the whole of nature, including the beasts and the animals, to the service of true humanity. Humanity permeated and illuminated by the divine image, by the soul, which is veritably a part of God above. so that the whole of creation will realize that God is our maker. Do you understand that, my friend? There is no excuse under the sun that we don't know who God is, because he has given us everything to show himself in all the creation, and it's illuminated in his divine image around him. All the characteristics of God, from the lions to the birds, to the beautiful dogs, the flowers, the air, the sea, the sky, the fish that roam the sea, everything that is in creation is an attribute and shows the glory of the Creator. But before a man or woman sets out to conquer the world, they must first conquer themselves and their own egos through the subjugation of the earthly, can I say demonically, in the beastly that's in our own nature, the human nature. This can only be attained through actions which accord with the directives of the Torah, the practical guide to everyday living, so that the material pursuits become permeated and illuminated with the light of the one God, our God. Right? We just celebrated Hanukkah, right? We're supposed to be a light in the darkness. We're supposed to be illuminated with the image of God that reflects throughout the earth. Just as the moon reflects the light of the sun, we are to be reflecting the light of Yeshua, the Messiah. Do we do that, my friends, when we walk day by day throughout this earth? My friends, God created one man, and upon this single person on earth, he imposed this duty and task. Herein lies the profound yet clear directive, namely that one man, each and every person, you, me, is potentially capable of conquering the world. This is deep Jewish thought here I'm sharing with you. If a person does not fulfill his task and does not utilize his inestimable divine powers, it is not merely a personal loss and failure, but something that affects the destiny of the whole world. Are you getting to see the picture here? This is deep. This is spiritual warfare and spiritual attributes and principles that we are discussing here. My friends, the sages teach us that Adam was the prototype and example for each and every individual to follow. They say, for this reason was man created single, in order to teach you that one person is equivalent to an entire world. This means that every Hebraic believer, indeed every human being, regardless of time and place and personal status, has the fullest capacity and also the duty to rise and attain the highest degree of fulfillment and accomplish the same for creation as a whole. This is why many times throughout history we have, these dictators that have almost taken over the world, because one man can try to conquer the world if he gives himself to the enemy. But one man can also conquer the world for good if he follows in the footsteps of the Messiah. And one man, Adam, sinned and created chaos in the world, but the second Adam, Yeshua, lived, kept the Torah, was crucified, died, and was resurrected, and changed the course of the whole world for all eternity. So to put it in more clearly, human fulfillment is attained when intellect recognizes that man and with him the entire creation must strive for and achieve acknowledgement of and attachment to God, the creator of the universe and master of everything in it. In other words, my friends, we are created. Now pay attention to this, my friends. We are created to make the world a better place. And for those of you who have heard me preach for years now, you know that I always preach about this. Go and make the world a better place, and to make the Creator known throughout the world. Are you doing that, my friends? Are you making the world a better place today? And are you making the Creator known throughout your sphere of influence, throughout the world? My friends, only after man was created with the divine spark within him did the entire creation become worthy and complete. Without man, without the divine spark, without the Ruach HaKodesh, the earth was just nothing. It was void until God hovered over it and recreated it in all of its glory, and then created man and blew in his nostrils the breath of life. He says, thus man can justly be described as the beginning of creation in all its domains. In Yom Teruah, which we believe the day of blowing is the birthday of man as the day of the beginning of his works. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Can you imagine that, my friends? Can you imagine what took place there when God himself created Adam out of the dust and then breathed life and gave him a spirit? And from that one man, and later Eve, taken from his rib, came the progeny of all humanity. In those spirits, for each one is born, there is a spirit there that can be united with the divine spark and have that same glory that God has and that Yeshua has. Each of us have that human potential. My friends, the worlds of the spiritual and the material are not in conflict. The ultimate purpose is that they be fused and the material permeated with the spiritual. The core of all mitzvah performance is to take the material creation and utilize it for a divine purpose. Let me repeat that. The core of all the commands, of all the Torah, of all the things that we do in life, is to take the material creation that God has given us and utilize it for a divine purpose. My friends, the soul is to give an account of its lifetime, and subsequently its merits and demerits are carefully weighed on the divine scales. It is then rewarded for its good deeds and Torah learning. The reward takes the form of a revelation of God's glory, basking in the divine light. In this sense, the world is a mere corridor before the world to come. It's a temporary stepping stone where one may earn a place and seat in the world to come. That is our destiny. We are tabernacling, temporary dwelling, these bodies, these bags of dust that we live in, but they have a divine spark within them, but they are preparing us for the world to come for all eternity when we will be glorified in his glorious light. That is our destiny, but we won't all get there if we refuse to choose life and we instead choose the ways of death. My friends, one should not merely serve God to receive this reward, right? We're just not doing this because we want eternal life. We're doing this because it is the right way of living. It is the only way of living. So God doesn't remain in our debt, but he will reward a person for his good deeds. To this aim, there is an eye watching. Someone's watching you right now. Someone's watching me right now. There's an ear listening. The spiritual realm is all around us. The angels are around us, and they're writing. They're writing all of our actions. They're recording all of our words that we speak. We will give an exact account, or they will give an exact account of our deeds in life when the time comes and the books are open. They are recording and listening and writing and recording everything that we say and everything that we do. And those books are being preserved, and they will be opened at the appropriate time and will be judged according to what we are doing with our lives. My friends, listen to me. We were created for a higher purpose. We are to conquer this world by proclaiming his works throughout the world. Our physical and spiritual lives are intertwined. God has given each of us various gifts and talents to serve his kingdom on earth in different ways. In Exodus chapter 35, verse 35, he says, he has filled them with skill to do all manner of work of the engraver and the designer and the tapestry maker, in blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and fine linen, and all the weaver, those who do every work and those who design artistic works. This was during the making of the tabernacle. God gave the people the skills and the talents that they needed to perform the works of his glory. And then Paul writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. He says, there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of ministries, my friends, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of activities, but it is the same God who works all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to each one for the profit of all. For to one is given the word of wisdom through the Spirit, to another the word of knowledge through the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healings by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another the discerning of spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these things, distributing to each one individually as God wills. He knows who we are, what makes us tick, what gifts we need, what gifts he has given us, and what talents we can use to glorify his kingdom here on earth in preparation to the world to come. My friends, to find the right goal, in our last few minutes here, let's discuss this. To find the right goal, this is going to prep you up for next week. To find the right goal, I encourage each and every one of you to take a day or maybe two to fast. Study the word and pray to God, seeking his will for you in this life. Ask for guidance on what you can do in this life to make the world a better place. Then purpose it in your heart to serve him by using the gifts and talents he has given you to bring others into his kingdom. And as you pray, write it down. Write down like Habakkuk did. Right? We have this whole class on mymdi.org called Communion with God. It's a free online class. You can take it. We also have a more in-depth class, but go there, go to mymdi.org, sign up for Communion with God, take that class, and as you're studying and learning and hearing God's voice, write down. This is how I started the Messianic Discipleship Institute and all the ministry works that we have now, by doing this right that I'm asking you to do, encouraging you to do. Because once you have a clear direction of where the Lord is leading you, it is time to apply the remaining 6 laws of success. Next week, we will get into part 2. The 7 laws of success will cover the last 6 laws and sum it all up. Don't miss it. You're going to want to hear this, what I'm going through next week. I hope that today's part 1 was very edifying for you. Go back and rewatch it if you have to. I went through a lot of scriptures. I went through some good points. My friends, purpose it in your heart to make the world a better place. The world needs you right now. It needs us. It needs the sons and daughters of God to glorify his name upon this earth today. Not tomorrow, not 100 years from now, but today. What are you doing with your life today to glorify God on the earth today and to prepare for the world of tomorrow, that glorious kingdom that's coming, where all the nonsense and chaos and the evil that you see today will be gone. But God is preparing each and every one of us to do something in the kingdom, but also to do something now in preparation of the kingdom. So, my friends, until next week, Shalom Aleichem. God bless. If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb Show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Jeffrey Clark. Thank you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.